Okay, here's number 23. I didn't think we did any of these for homework, so I wasn't sure if this was actually going to be on the test or not. So, well, here's how you do it. So you read all this stuff. You have a FICO score. That's your credit score is between 300 and 800. So a low score gives a high interest rate because they're high risk. That's what all of that is saying. But here's the data. This score gets an 18.9% interest rate. A little higher gets a 17. 640 gets a 12, and so on. So which variable do you believe is likely to be the explanatory variable? That means which one explains the response. So it's the credit score explains the interest rate. So explains is the x-axis, so this is the x and this is the y. Okay, so C letter B says draw a scatter plot. Okay, so we're just going to graph this stuff. So knowing that the x-axis has to go from like 500 to 800, maybe I'll just go by 50. So maybe 500, 550, 600, 650, 700, 750. That's good enough since it goes up to 750. And then the y's go from 5 to about 19. So maybe I'll go 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, something like that. Okay, now we just try to put the dots in there. So 545 is about 19. So 545 is about 19. So go over to about 545, up about 19. About 600 is about 18. So about 600 is just under that one. So something like that. Somewhere around 650 is around 12. So about 650 is somewhere around 12. 675 is about 8.5. So 675 is about 8.5. 700 is about 6.5, so 700 is about 6.5, and 750 is about 5. Okay, so there's the scatter plot. Okay, determine the linear coefficient. Well, okay, I mean the linear coefficient. That's the R number. That's what these were up here. How are they related? Okay, well, those look pretty related to me. So this is going to have they're negative, so I already know that the R is going to be negative, and I know it's going to be pretty close to 1. Those are almost perfectly in a line. But that's a really complicated formula, so your calculator will do that for you. So you just have to put this in the calculator. We'll put this in list 1 and this in list 2. Okay, so list 1, 545. 545. What the heck? $545. Yours won't do this. Mine's in some kind of funky mode. Okay, I've got to go to normal. Okay, just go to stat list 545. Then 595, 640, 675, 705, and 750. So there's the X in list 1. List 2, 18.982, 17.967, 12.218, 8.612, 6.680, and 5.150. Okay, so there they are. To get the linear coefficient, so I'm going to go quit. This is a different button now. We want to go to calculate, but now we want linear regression. That turns it into a line. Okay, so you're going to put yours in like this. Linear regression L1 comma L2, because you put the X in L1, so this is like X comma Y. So with L1 it's the first set of data, L2 is the second set of data. Mine says what's the X L1, what's the Y L2. then you just hit calculate. Now see, I don't know if you saw that, but it pasted it in there just like yours was, real quick. Okay, notice it doesn't say R, because I don't know why TI did this, but the R doesn't come on automatically. You have to turn it on. So if you want R, you have to go down here to this blue catalog button. So you hit this, the second catalog, and then it's called Diagnostics On. Diagnostics On. We have to turn, and that will turn on some of these other things. So this is all in alphabetical order. So scroll down to the D's where it says Diagnostics On. There's diagnostics off, diagnostics on. Hit enter twice and it will turn it on. And I'll go do that again. Stat, calculate, linear regression, list 1, comma, list 2. See, there's the R number. This time it gives the 2. So the correlation is negative 0.9759. Okay, so that's a very strong correlation because it's almost perfect. It's almost 1. So that means these dots are lining up really carefully. So does a linear relationship exist between the FICO scores and the interest rate? Yes. It looks linear. And the R is strong. Find the least squares regression line. So now it wants the equation. That's what this is. See, it's y equals mx plus b. That only they use a instead for the slope. You just put this negative 0.076 where the a is, and you put the 61.4 where the b is, and that's the equation. So it's y equals negative 0.076x plus 61.4. Now sometimes in statistics they don't use the letter y, they actually use what the y stands for. Y stands for interest rate. So you might see interest rate equals negative 0.076, and then the x was the credit score, so times credit score. You might see it written like that. I just say that in case you see words instead of y and x. They just sometimes put the words for the y-axis and the x-axis. Okay, so based on your line, what interest rate would you expect for a credit score of 730? See, we just take this credit score and stick it in right there for that x, this credit score of 730. So the interest rate is negative 0.076 times 730 plus 61.4. So I'm just plugging it in the formula where the credit score goes. And now we'll just go to our calculator and type all that in. So the interest rate is going to be negative 0.076 times 730 plus 61.4. So they would get a 5.92 interest rate. Okay, there we go.